Hi guys and gals, it's your boy, Anicaps here, and today I will explain and review the anime called The Silent Voice. If you enjoy our full recaps, remember to subscribe to our channel as we're new, and let's begin. The story starts when changing schools. Nishimiya, a deaf girl, starts getting picked on by her classmates, especially by Ishida, another boy in the class. At first she tries to become his friend, however the boy doesn't seem interested in any sort of friendship with her. With the passage of time, Ishida notes that what he did in the past was wrong. For that, he tries to make amends and apologize to her. However, it wouldn't be as easy as he thought, and perhaps the problems he'll face are around the corner. In 6th grade, Ishida was popular. One day, a new student arrived, and her name was Nishimiya. When the girl introduced herself, she did it with a notebook and wanted everyone to have access to it, so they could write to her in it. Apparently, the reason for this is that she was deaf. She couldn't hear them talk, but tried as much as she could to socialize with them. While she tried to be friends with Ishida, he ignores her. Her interactions increased in class, but not in a good way. While the girl said she wanted to be friends with Ishida, he threw dirt on her, saying that she disgusts him. Days later in the class, the teacher suggests that the students learn sign language to make communication with Nishimiya easier. Even though most of them refuse, stating they could keep communicating with Ishida using the notebook, a girl named Sahara insisted on learning it. With this, she got very close to Nishimiya. However, after a while she changed school, and the students blamed Nishimiya for this. This led to her being bullied as they wet her and yelled in her ear. This made Nishimiya scared. When they noticed that she had hearing aids on, Ishida took them off and threw them away. However, one day when he took them off, she started bleeding. This action earned him a suspension. Even when this happened, the girl did what she always does. She apologized to him. She just wanted to be his friend and be cool with him. But he wasn't interested in any kind of friendship with her. Angrily, he threw her notebook into the water and never imagined that she will get in to find it. The next day, Nishimiya's mother made a complaint to the school, stating that her daughter's hearing aids were getting lost daily, and they happened to be very expensive. She knew that someone was bullying her daughter. When this was announced, the teacher immediately pointed at Ishida, sure that her was the culprit. However, he said that he wasn't the only one, and Shimada, another boy in his class, also bothered her. Also that Ueno and Kawai talked about her behind her back. Hearing this, they all denied him, stating that he was the only one who always bullied her. After school that day, they threw him into the water. This meant they were no longer his friends. When Ishida's mother found out what happened, she took money from the bank and went to apologize to Nishimiya's mother. Witnessing this, Ishida decides to change. However, in school, Ishida moved from being popular to being an outcast who no longer had friends. Despite all he had done to her, Nishimiya kept on trying to be friends with him. One day, he found her cleaning his desk and confronted her because he still felt guilty. Later on, it was announced that she had already changed schools, and he still never got the chance to apologize to her. Going back to the present, after repenting, Ishida found out where Nishimiya lives. When she saw him, she began to run, but Ishida approached her. He states that he had wanted to give her back her old notebook. Surprised at how he is communicating with her, she asked how he knew sign language. In reply, he says that he had studied, and that if she allowed, he wanted to be her friend. This made her very happy. The next day, the Ishida's mother was also happy and grateful to him for giving her money. Although she was very worried that he had attempted to kill himself, she threatened to burn his money if he tried to do that again. Hearing this, he promises not to do it again. Even so, she ended up burning the cash by accident. He, however, decides to try to be a better son. He had apparently tried to kill himself earlier because he had no friends. When going to high school, Shimada had told everyone that he was a bully, and it was better to be away from him. At that time, he didn't feel hurt by this since he thought that he deserved it. However, he became so much of an outcast that he never looked away from the ground and at anyone's face. This happens to be why everyone around him had an X on their faces. One sign that no one is willing to be his friend. The next day, Ishida noticed someone asking a boy for his bicycle, but the boy refuses since it felt like he was being forced. Seeing this, he decides to help the boy by offering his bicycle instead. Unknown to him, thus was a robbery, and he no longer had a bicycle. Due to this, he is left with no other choice but to walk home. On his way, he found a coupon for bread, and is reminded of Nishimiya, who always fed bread to the birds. Without hesitation, he got the bread and searched the sign language class. Despite the fact that she was there, a young boy told him that she was not there, also that it was better he left. With no other option, he returned home. On his way home, he is met by the boy who was about to be robbed earlier, named Nagatsuki. Fortunately, the boy had found his bike had been looking for him all day. Here, he noticed something. The X in the boy's face fell. Even though he wasn't interested in being friend with him, Nagatsuki was very cheerful and friendly with Ishida. As the days passed, he got very close to Nagatsuki, and the two went to school together. After that, they went to the movies, and even had a secret way of greeting themselves. This felt weird to Ishida, who hasn't felt this happy in a long time. Shortly after, he went to visit Nishimiya again, but the young boy stopped him. This time, he went with Nagatsuki, and the latter stood up for him. This caused a slight commotion, and Nishimiya seized them. Feeling very sorry for the ruckus, Ishida ran away. Still, Nishimiya went after him. He just wanted to be friends with Nishimiya, and she accepted. She also thanked him for giving her back her notebook. Meanwhile, Nagatsuka and the young boy use a camera to spy on the two. While Ishida and Nishimiya were talking, her book fell into the river. Without Mue hesitation, she jumped into the river. Worried about her, Ishida follows. When he found the book, he apologizes, but she told him not to worry, and that she would see him later. Since he didn't like Ishida, the young boy published an image of Ishida jumping into the river, something that was prohibited, which earned him a suspension. Later in the day, Ishida found the girl at a park while looking for his sister Maria. He was lonely at the playground, and he decided to invite her to dinner, letting her stay at his house. After a while, and even though it was raining, the boy named Yuzuru left the house since she felt ashamed. Fortunately, Ishida caught up with him and gave him a pair of shoes to wear. Then he accompanied him home. The boy reveals that he is in fact Nishimiya's sister. Ishida has limited time to react to this, as Yuzuru's mother walks up to him and slaps him. After that, she orders him to stay away from her daughters. The next day, Ishida ignores the girl's mother and continued to meet with them. He introduces Nagatsuka to them officially. At this moment, Nagatsuka grabs Yuzuru, but he is immediately informed that she is a girl. Realizing this, he is shocked to his bones. Meanwhile, Ishida brings out his phone in a bid to take Nishimiya's number. He also promises to give her the number of anyone she wants. Just then, she signifies that she wants Sahara's number. The next day, after a long time, Ishida dared to speak to Kawaii, wanting to know if she had an idea of where Sahara was. In response, Kawaii states that she only knows where Sahara's school is located. Without hesitation, they took the train to look for her. However, at the train station, Ishida is met by Nishimiya, who had come to join him in seeking out Sahara. This is since she was the one who sent him in the first place. When they got off the train, they were lucky because Sahara just recognized them. The girls were so happy that they started talking about everything. At this time, Ishida felt left out and decided to take a walk. While doing so, he bumps into a girl who hands him a coupon. When she does this, he noticed that she seemed familiar. The next day, he sees that Nishimiya is having a good time with Sahara. This allows him to head to the store on the coupon with Nagatsuka. When they got there, the girl recognized him and hit herself. Later that day, Ishida tries to cross the road with his bike and feels a person sitting behind him. Looking back, he realizes that it is Ueno. She sees Nishimiya from a distance and mocks her for being alone. After that, she ran towards Nishimiya, removing her hearing aids. She had thought it would be the same as before, but Ishida tells her to return it to Nishimiya. Seeing how much he has changed, Ueno finds this disgusting. She is more disgusted at the fact that they are friends. Without wasting much time, she left. The next day, Nishimiya did a ponytail, and for some reason she was very happy. When she does, she began to speak. However, he does not understand all she tries to say. On the other hand, she tries a lot to pronounce something very important, trying to tell him that she liked him, but he fails to understand her words. This makes her embarrassed, and she ran away. In school, Ishida approached Kawaii, who responded in a good way. At that moment, her ex fell from her face. She reveals another guy who wants to be friend with Ishida too. His name is Mashiba. After school, he introduces the boys to Sahara. While they talk, he asks Yuzuru about Nishimiya. This is because he thought she was offended and avoiding him. In response, Yuzuru advises him to invite her to go out, and that if she was angry, she would say no. Just then, he invites her for an outing with his new friends, and this made her extremely happy. When the day arrived, Nishimiya is excited, and even more when she meets Sahara. Every one of them seemed to be having a lot of fun. This made Ishida happy, as he now had friends. Ueno happened to be around, and she invites Ishida to buy food with her. When he gets there, he meets his old friend, Shimada, who happens to be a sales rep there. Seeing Ishida, he is uninterested in becoming friends. When this does not work out, she blames everything on Nishimiya. Due to this, she invites Nishimiya to climb the wheel with her. At that point, Yuzuru hands her a camera to take care of it for her. Later that day, Yuzuru reveals the contents of the camera's video to Ishida. He sees Ueno blaming Nishimiya and threatening her. She tells Nishimiya that she hates her and that they were Hippolyte before she came. Even after all of this, Nishimiya says she was sorry and she hated herself. Seeing that she is apologizing again, Ueno hit her. Fortunately, this was all captured in the video. The next day, Mishiba told Ishida about the incident of the past, which involves Nishimiya being bullied. Thinking it was Kawaii who told him, he goes to confront her. However, she denied it out loud, claiming she would never do that. Hearing the ruckus, the boys asked what was going on, and Kawaii explained, revealing that Ishida was the one who always bullied Nishimiya. This causes his new friends to be disappointed as they sought to know if it's true. Embarrassed by this, Ishida runs away from school. Later on, he met with Nishimiya, and the others arrived there too. Getting there, Kawaii apologizes to him, but blames him for causing it. Then she tells him to apologize to Nishimiya. When she says this, they all get into a heated argument, causing everyone except Ishida and Nishimiya to go home. At that moment, Ishida invites Nishimiya to go somewhere with him this summer. Meanwhile, Yuzuru gets talked to by her grandmother. The latter is worried about her putting her life on hold to take care of her sister, even going to the school of the deaf. While her grandmother knew she cared a lot about her sister, she urges Yuzuru to worry about herself too. The words of her grandmother made her remember something that she had told her sister, something very sad that we will know later. When Ishida sees her the next day, he already noticed in the distance that she was crying. He saw her putting in a uniform for the first time and asked her if something was wrong. In response, she states that her grandmother had died. In order not to feel the pain, she asks Ishida to join her on an excursion. He agreed to do so in order to keep her company, and not to make her feel sad. Later on, the girls end up inviting him to their mother's birthday party. Of course, this made him nervous since their mother hated him. He anticipated another slap when he meets her. Surprisingly, it turned out well. After that, they invite him to see the fireworks. While Ishida and Nishimiya were watching the fireworks, he is shocked to realize that she can feel the vibrations of the fireworks. After a while, she got up and left. Shortly after, Yuzuru asks Ishida to get her camera from the house. Without hesitation, he did so. Getting there, he sees Nishimiya standing on the balcony. Immediately, he began to scream her name and run towards her. Shockingly, she stumbled and was nowhere to be seen. Fortunately, Ishida grabs her hand just in time to save her. While grabbing her hand, he hopes and prays that she would reconsider this action, promising that he would change and apologize to her if God saves her, further stating that he would look everyone on the face if she is saved. However, while trying to save her, he was losing balance. In a brief moment, he was able to pull her up, but ended up slipping and falling off in the process. Immediately, Ishida was transferred to the hospital, but unfortunately, he did not wake up. Surprisingly, Ishida's mother apologizes to Nishimiya's mother. However, the latter who dropped to the ground in appreciation because Ishida had saved her daughter. Shortly after, Ueno, thinking it was all Nishimiya's fault, pushes her to the ground. At that moment, her mother comes to her rescue, hitting Ueno while the latter reciprocates. The two begin to fight and are separated by Ishida's mother. And of this, Nishimiya kept apologizing. Back at Yuzuru's house, she tells her mother that she had started taking care of Nishimiya after realizing that the latter no longer wanted to live. Later in, she tried to give Ishida some food, but Ueno prevents her from seeing him. When she sees Nagatsuki, she informs him that she would like to fix everything. Firstly, she meets Sahara, who is very happy to see her alive. After that, she meets with Kawaii and then with Ueno. At first, Ueno ignores her. When she continues to be persistent, Ueno forgives her. That night, Nehemiya has a dream and runs to the bridge. While standing there, Ishida dreams of her falling in and wakes up immediately. Then he runs to the bridge to see if she is there. Meeting her, the first thing he did was apologize for everything. Even though now they are friends, he never got the chance to apologize for the past. In return, Nishimiya starts crying. She also apologizes to him. Shortly after, he asks her for a favor, stating that he wants her to help him live. This she was happy to accept. The next day, Ishida returned home, and his sister, Maria, hugged him. After that, he sees Wano hiding and is told that she had been the one taking care of him every day while he was unconscious. When he meets her, she says she only wanted to help, although she still didn't like Nishimiya. Getting back home, he sees Nishimiya's mother getting a haircut from his mother. Without a doubt, everything was getting better. When he gets to his room, Yuzuru comes, asking him to tutor her since she was doing so bad in school. Wanting to help her, he agrees. The next morning, before heading to school, he rehearses how he hopes to greet his friends from now on. However, when he gets to school, he becomes scared and hides in a corner. At that moment, Nishimiya comes to help him, leading him to his class. Just as he opens the door, everyone calls out his name, and this gets him scared once again. Due to this, his friends came to meet him, and he summoned the courage to ask them to accompany him to the school festival. Now more confident, Ishida looked straight ahead, and that made him realize that the other students didn't hate him like he thought. He just didn't open up. Upon realizing this, the X on everyone's face begins to fall off. Now in the midst of friends, his heart is filled with happiness. Due to this, he could not hold the tears in his eyes. This is since his acquaintances had become friends, and those friends have become family. All of this is thanks to a girl with a silent voice. If you liked this recap, do let me know in the comments, and obviously leave your like too. Do not forget to share with your friends and subscribe. Above all, activate your notification bell so you don't miss the next recap when it drops. Until next time, take care.